all people, but he only affectionately loves his church. And on this, by the same token, we come across unbelievers, and I don't share the view that Daniel made mention to, that we should have indignation towards unbelievers, that we should meet them with hostility. I think we should meet them with compassion and love and concern. But the love is a love of service. Love is an action word. It's one to where we we attempt to, just like the other day, I'm riding around the block and with my bicycle, and I see one of the neighbors that I don't even know, and her friend is a big trucker, and it was 107 degrees out, and they were trying to pull the tarps off and fold them up and such, and she's a 65-year-old lady, and this guy, and it's really hot, and I pulled my bicycle over and said, can I help you? And so I helped them get all the tarps off the truck and stuff. Well, I didn't ask them whether they were saved or not. But yet I demonstrated Christian love and Christian attitude towards them in relationship to a service-oriented situation. But yet I didn't talk to them about the Bible. I didn't talk to them about the gospel. I didn't have any relationship going with them as I would if I knew that they were born-again people and they were doing the same thing. Then we might get talking, and next thing you know, I'm in their home and we're talking about the gospel. It's more of an affectionate relationship. It's a personal, affectionate relationship. Whereas with me, with unbelievers, unless it's an old school chum that's unsaved, I have nothing going with that person whatsoever, period. There's no relationship. We have nothing in common. I will serve him. I will attempt to help him. But we're like on two different planets. So there's nothing really going on. Go ahead, Luke.
I think if we ask most unbelievers, they will agree that we should try to love our fellow man. That's kind of a universal concept. But to me, the difference here is, even though the saved and the lost, we try to love our fellow man, even strangers. It's a different kind of love that we have for a stranger than we do for our own family, because they're family. Right. And what we have in the body of Christ is a family. And when we get born again, we become a child of God, and we come into God's family. So it's a different kind of love that God has for us as his children than he has for the world. And it's a different kind of love that we should have for each other than we have for the world.
Right. And I think within the body of Christ, the optimum situation in our love towards each other centers around attitude. What kind of an attitude do we have towards our Christian brother? What kind of an attitude do we have towards the people in the world? And I'm simply saying our attitude in either case should be a good attitude, but there's a real connection within the members of the body of Christ. That's why when I leave my home, Tony comes over there and he helps me out when I'm gone, maybe a month or two, and he's over there and he'll check my sprinklers and he'll come over and then work and stuff like that. Never once has he asked for me for money. Where if it was somebody in the world and I asked him to do that, they'd say, well, what are you going to pay me? You see, as members of the body of Christ, we don't operate that way. We don't measure things in that way. And oftentimes when I come across a Christian that has to have money for every service that's performed, I tend to shy away from that Christian. I don't necessarily rebuke them, which maybe I should sit down and try to have a talk with them or something, but because it happens from time to time, and I don't know the person that well, I know as he's portraying himself as a Christian, I can guarantee if I had any kind of relationship with that Christian for any length of time, I would be pointing out to him, hey, look, we don't measure these things by money. And so I've had guys that, I've had guys that have helped me. I remember when I was a young Christian, I didn't have any money, and I was driving this car, and I'd have car problems. Lynn Ford, I'd take my car over there, and he'd fix it and work on it, and for hours get in my car. Never once did he ask me for money. I've had so many cases like that, it's not funny, in my life with Christians that have helped me building and doing things. And no exchange of money. But the minute I go to an unbeliever,